Hey everyone, this is Chris, your friendly neighborhood Minnesota comic geek, with a fun new video focusing on comic book art and some of the various forms it is available to you. In this video, I want to talk about the different types of comic books, trades, and books that you can buy to feed your comic art passions. This discussion is primarily focused on those comic collectors that buy the books based on the artwork and the artist that draws that book. This is the primary type of comic book collector that I personally am. I love following comic pencilers and seeing the progression of their technical skills and their personal artistic style. Even if you are the type of comic collector that doesn't buy comics based on the artist on the book, everything I'm going to show and talk about should be of interest to you because you probably love comics as much as I do. And hopefully you will find this interesting because I'm going to showcase the artistry that goes into making our favorite media. Before I dive into the heart of this video, I would ask that if you enjoy this type of comic book related content, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you enjoy talking comics, then comment below. All right, so what sparked the idea for this video? A couple of weeks ago now, I was just visiting one of the many local comic shops here in Minnesota, Rockhopper Comics and Games over in New Hope, Minnesota. And I was perusing their current back issues, recent books that had come out, and they had this book, The Last Ronin Design Archive. It's essentially a sketchbook for the Last Ronin series. And admittedly, while I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, especially from a very young age, I'm late to this book and have been working at tracking down the back issues from the original series here. But I saw this book, and I am a huge fan of comic book art. I love drawing comic related drawings. But so if you ever have a chance to buy sketchbooks from artists or about books, I highly recommend it because you get a pretty kind of inside look at kind of the thought process behind the books that you're reading. So I saw this on the shelf. I immediately grabbed it, flipped through it, and had to buy it. Some other examples that I have in my collection are a bunch of different sketchbooks that companies or artists have put out over the years. Like this one here, the Spider-Man One More Day sketchbook, primarily featuring Joe Quesada's art. Getting to see kind of the pencils behind the comics and stuff, getting to see his kind of character sketches and development, getting an inside look at how he as an artist develops the look of each character. Then you also get stuff like this where you get to see kind of the thumbnail sketch for this particular comic page, and then seeing the pencils and the inks. It's a really nice behind the scenes look at these particular books. This one's very similar too, where you get to see character sketches for the Spider-Man title. Then you have something like this, the J. Scott Campbell Danger Girl sketchbook. If you are an aspiring artist yourself, I highly recommend this particular sketchbook. It's so thorough and goes really in depth at just the wealth of character design sketches and drawings that J. Scott Campbell did when he was developing his Danger Girls series way back in the day. Seeing I love getting this kind of inside look, since he's a huge Disney fan, so getting to see the Danger Girl characters in a Disney style is really, really fun. Getting to see thought processes on how the characters, outfits look, and getting to see kind of turnaround drawings for statues and stuff that he did put out at the time. And even here, for some of you video game players out there may remember, there was a Danger Girl video game back in the day, and I bought a copy of the game and played it, loved it, but in the sketchbook you get to see his storyboard thumbnails for the intro to the video game, which these are kind of highly developed storyboard drawings. For anyone who has seen actual storyboards from like movies, they rarely are this well developed and rendered, essentially, but it's such a cool insight and into how that part of the game was created. And these are the kind of the screenshots for like each chapter of the video game. One of my favorite kind of mini series were the Alex Ross Earth X series of 3 different mini series of books. It really started with a kind of hypothetical dystopian look, that idea of the Marvel Universe that Alex Ross just was asked to create by Wizard magazine back in the day, that ultimately turned into this miniseries. But this sketchbook, if you can find these 3, really you can find generally in the dollar bins. I know I have multiple copies that I've always found in the dollar bins, but what's great about these particular sketchbooks are the character drawings and development, but really are the backstories and kind of history of how the character got to the point that they're at when this series kicks off. For any aspiring character artists out there, character designers, knowing what the backstory of a character is helps influence the design of said character. Getting to read Mr. Fantastic's evolution to this point when this series kicks off, and wearing the costume of Dr. Doom, you really need to know the backstory for it to make sense. But yeah, these getting to see just the raw, unpainted pencil art of Alex Ross is just awe-inspiring. His painted work is amazing in and of itself, but getting to see these character designs in their pencil form is something that you can just study and look on in wonder for hours on end. When these first debuted, they were so amazing, and the reasoning behind each character is well thought out. I particularly love this character redesign or evolution. Obviously, the Silver Surfers. For those that don't know, that's Nornred's reunited with, his love Shalabal in this series. But just how he chooses to render and depict the Silver Surfer was a fresh interpretation that is just beautiful. So these are kind of the comic book form of sketchbooks that you can generally find in the comic shop, because they will be ordered by comic shop owners and put out by companies. So you can, like I said, you can generally, if your comic shop does decide to order them, they'll be with the new comic books when they come out. The next step, kind of above that type of sketchbook, are more or less books, like full collected books of artwork. These tend to not be necessarily the raw pencils, although this particular kind of collected work by J. Scott Campbell does show more of his kind of pencils and in-process artwork. I would recommend, if you're a fan of his, he has a bunch of different art books on his website that you can purchase. It's cool to see the black and white inked, the pencils and the inks of the artwork that eventually become his variant covers. These books that he puts out aren't of the pencils, but they show just the artwork by themselves with no trade dress. It's just getting to see the unobstructed artwork. Then there's this type of art book. This particular one, Art of the Sin City, is a really fascinating book, especially if you're a fan of Frank Miller and his Sin City style, the negative space style, as I just kind of call it or refer to it. But getting to see his thought process and how he's figuring out the light and shadow of a particular panel or page is kind of eye-opening, and just really makes you just kind of truly appreciate the amount of work it takes to figure out that particular drawing in that style. It's not easy. And very quickly, I'll probably do videos about specific art books, but these are, again, just collected works by specific artists, in this case Frank Cho and his Liberty Meadows covers. But they show both the black and white version, black and white artwork of the covers for his Liberty Meadows series, so you get to see them side by side, which really informs the artwork itself. And real quickly, if you can get your hands on a copy of this book by Cover Run, the DC Comics Art of Adam Hughes, I highly recommend it because of the book itself. It's most of his DC comic book cover artwork that he covers, or that he talks about, showcased in this book. But you get a little kind of commentary on the particular cover that is being showcased on the opposite page, along with some kind of process sketches for the ultimate cover. Reading through all these little, essentially, commentary tracks on the covers really give you insight into the challenges he had, things he struggled with, maybe the editors kind of push back on things. It's like I said, a good insight into the comic industry, and what goes on in making the artwork that becomes those covers that we love so much, that are iconic or become iconic. This is definitely a wall book that you all have probably seen at conventions or in comic shops. This particular cover, this one was probably my favorite commentary on this Catwoman cover that features Zatanna, and he talks about the fact that he forgot to draw in her fishnets stockings on her legs, and that no one caught it. So I don't know why this particular cover and comic book isn't more highly sought after because of that mistake, but I don't know. That's the type of insight you get in this particular book. But I just love seeing all the thumbnails and process drawings for the various covers. But truly a great book to have. Next up are single issue comic books that you can get at your local comic shop when they are released or put out by companies. They kind of come in different forms. They're sometimes called, Unplugged, black and white variant, art edition, Top Cow Classics black and white, But these, I really love these because you get the original comic that you bought, this one, Batman Spawn, that came out, I don't know, like a year or so ago, maybe less at this point. You get with the Unplugged here, it's the raw black and white inked pages of the original comic, so you get no colors on them, no dialogue balloons, nothing. It's just the artwork alone. So you really get to focus on the details, and if the particular artist is extremely skilled and good at what they do, like Greg Capullo is, you should be able to follow the story based on the artwork alone and understand what is going on. Just getting to see the kind of insane level of detail that Capullo puts into his penciled pages is awesome. Some more examples. Joe Madureira is one of my favorite artists of all time. This was his run on Ultimates 3, the black and white pencils, because he's an artist that has become more common in modern day comic books, is that the penciler draws and renders the comic pages in a way, has a more refined and finished pencils, so that the digital colorist can essentially just darken the pencils to the point where it looks like they are inked. They don't actually have to do the inking stage before the colors. This particular style of comic book has the dialogue balloons in it, which is different than the Spawn Batman. This is Soulfire #1 by Michael Turner. Getting to see his raw pencils, just so much detail in his drawings. Again, these are books that you can find when they come out, like any other new comic book, at your local comic shop. Again, these are same as a regular size comic, you know, that you would normally pick up. The next evolution or stage beyond that are the unwrapped, as they call them, kind of trades that I have only really seen DC put out unwrapped versions of their comic books in the form of trades. Like this one, the Batman Hush, I think it's the full series or the full run of the Hush story. Yeah, yep, it's the full, yep. So these, again, very similar to the single issue unwrapped versions, the black and white versions. These are the full trade of the actual series, and the specific unwrapped style is that you get the original penciled pages with Jim Lee. Normally Scott Williams inks his work. So these are nice trades that you can get these on Amazon pretty easily. But getting to see Jim Lee's pencils is amazing. His detail and style has long been a favorite of mine. He's easily one of my favorite artists of all time, as he is many. You know, this one's the more recent Batman Court of Owls series by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. But again, you get the pencils with the dialogue balloons, so you can read the story and see how the pages were originally penciled before they were inked. Again, it's just interesting to see, you know, their beginning stages before they get to you, the comic buyer. I have a couple other trades of the Unwrapped series. There's a Andy Kubert Batman run that's unwrapped in this form. But again, these are regular trade paperback size books that feature the original pencil pages for these particular comics. Oh, okay. The final evolution of this particular collecting habit, I will say, is the gallery edition, the artist edition of the comic books. Some of you may already know what these are. A lot of you may not. You even have to get it into full screen here. Some of you who frequent your local comic shop may have seen just a similar cardboard box with just a graphic sticker like this on it, and haven't really thought about what it is or never really cared to ask. But if you are a comic art fan, this is the ultimate what you should try to get if you can. I may have to switch up my camera setup, but these are the original artwork at original size. As you can see, this doesn't even fit into the screen here. Here, I'll turn it sideways here. So for those that don't know, comic books and comic book pencilers pencil the artwork at a larger size than the final comic book production size. Generally, that size is 11 inches by 17 inches, which that's essentially what the size of this book is. For comparison, here is the final comic book size. You know, So it gets scaled down to this size. It's how artists can get such a high level of detail into the drawings by drawing it at a larger size. But what's kind of what has been the through line for this entire video is getting to see the original artwork prior to being colored, because colored artwork is fantastic. I love it, but it can hide a lot of the detail in the drawings themselves. You know, case in point, especially with more modern coloring and digital painting, you know, you can add more effects on top of the drawings so you can't really see, like, you can't really see the detail in Batman's hands here, or, you know, so it's, you do lose something from the original drawings when you get the final colored artwork. As you can see, I've relocated to my floor because I couldn't not show the full book in all its grandeur. Had to resituate the camera and everything. Anyways, just to refresh again, here's the final comic book and the original art size book. Again, for getting to see the original pencils at original size give you a whole new perspective on the comic book art form. You know, again, look at, it's tough to not have a size comparison when looking at this, because without it just kind of looks like a regular book on screen here. But getting these gallery edition, artist edition, large format books, they're all kind of different, and I'll show a couple examples after this one. But like this particular book, it collects, and you get every single penciled page in order for Michael Turner's full Superman Batman run from 8 to 13, and then you get a whole cover section of many of his DC comic book covers that he did. You know, this is kind of a nice little touch of getting the original pencils and then having the acetate kind of overlay of the trade dress for the book. You know, New Girl in Town, the logo and everything. Getting in and seeing just all that amazing detail in these buildings in the background here is not something you can really see on the colored artwork. It gets lost. Another kind of nice touch in the original book, it was published with just the Kryptonian language. This book provides some overlay translation to those particular panels. Yeah, some of these, getting to see all this beautiful artwork. Like I said early on in the video, if you're an aspiring comic book artist, getting to look at the level of detail and the construction of the penciled pages is an education. You know, you can study. Just look at the side. Jeez, again, comparison. Just how big Superman's drawn here. It's just incredible. These artist editions, gallery edition books are true kind of museum level pieces. Just getting to see the artwork in its original form is breathtaking, honestly. The pencils to Michael Turner's DC covers here. And just fast forward to probably one of my favorite covers that he did. Here we go. The Teen Titans #1 cover that he did is one of my favorite comic book pieces of artwork. I've got a couple editions, like this one. So this one is a gallery edition put out by Graphitti Designs, but also IDW puts out their own artist editions. This one is the Jim Lee one that you can either get through IDW's website, or pretty sure you can still get it on Amazon. But if you're a fan of Jim Lee, this one I would definitely get. But it's unlike the Michael Turner Superman Batman one. This isn't a full, like a collection of full run issues of his X-Men work. The only that they just I don't know if you can tell, they select, are doing, just showing select pages from various issues from his Uncanny X-Men run and his X-Men run. The only full issue of pencils is X-Men #1, 1990s X-Men 1. But you get to, it's, even though it's not full run issues, getting to see kind of his pencils and stuff, like, and you'll kind of notice kind of the difference between penciled pages from the 80s and 90s compared to the Michael Turner Superman Batman from the 2000s. You get the color, the yellowing of the pages, the original pencils. And kind of what's cool is they scan the original pencil pages, and you can see, various whiteout marks by either Scott Williams or Jim Lee himself. You can see, like here, the coloring of the background and dialogue balloons. Just again, getting to see this amazing X-Men artwork at original size and level of detail is wonderful. And probably one of the best parts in this book is getting the full size gatefold cover penciled inks original artwork of the X-Men #1 collector's cover, deluxe cover, whatever it's called. But yeah, you can't even see it all on camera at once. It's just breathtaking, getting to see this again, comparison size. Like, here's the original comic size compared to Jim Lee drew all this at this size. It's just amazing. But these books aren't cheap. They range anywhere from like $120-ish up to $175, $180. But it's a higher price tag, but they are so worth it if you are a comic art fan. I can't recommend these gallery edition, artist edition books enough. I mean, just look at this. Just Magneto in all his glory. But yeah, so that will kind of wrap it up for this video. I hope you kind of enjoyed this, kind of getting to see different examples of raw comic book art that, as a comic book reader, collector, that you can get yourself and really dive into and enjoy the artwork of comic books, you know, in their original form. So yeah, I will try to leave some links to these various products in the description below if you want to buy some yourself. Thanks for watching, and again, if you enjoyed this type of comic book related content, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And again, if you enjoyed this video, comment below and let's talk some comics. Thanks for watching.